This time on Monkey Life. Kai says goodbye to his mum and heads to the orang nursery.
All right, little man.
Woolly monkey Isla fends for herself as Mum Paquita lavishes attention on her new baby.
She's had her nose put severely out of joint by the arrival of her baby brother.
And Paddy's chimps are made to work for their treats, but baby Bart isn't interested. Monkey World, tucked deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate unwanted and abused primates from all over the world.
What we did find was a body in the freezer. It's not good news. I haven't undone it to see if it's the infant.
The park is home to more than 240 monkeys and apes from 17 different species. Young Kai is on the lookout. Ever since the orang enclosure was split in two to allow both Gordon and Twan's groups to have their own outdoor space, he's been fascinated with who is over the other side of the fence. Twan has been equally as inquisitive in the neighbouring enclosure and keen to protect his territory. But this ritual will soon become a thing of the past for Kai because he's moving out. And the reason is stepdad Gordon. He's suddenly maturing into a fully grown adult and showing the beginnings of cheek pads.
Gordon's changing, you know, those secondary sexual characteristics are coming on now, and every time you look at him, he's bigger, he's starting to get his cheeks, you know, he's going to start acting like a fully adult dominant male, and typically males aren't tolerant of other males. We've seen the way that Gordon is behaving towards Kai change. You know, they used to have great play sessions, and now he kind of is establishing his dominance and being more kind of divorced from Kai.
The team are keen to avoid a repetition of what happened to Gordon when he was Kai's age. He hurt his eye when Twan lashed out at him.
Twan was mating a female that Gordon got involved, actually Amy, Gordon's mother. And again, that is entirely normal behaviour. You see that in the wild, you know, adolescents interfering when their mothers are mating with adult males. So, you know, if Gordon's going to be showing interest in Xiao Kuai again now, and also potentially Arme, we don't want Kai in a situation where he's perhaps curious as to what's going on, and he's at the wrong place at the wrong time and gets a telling off that could end up in something a bit more serious. So, you know, rather than take the risk, I think we need to move him sooner rather than later.
Kai is going to the nursery to join Oisin, Sylvester and the gang. The hardest thing for the 7-year-old will be leaving his mum, Xiao Kuai. Kai was her first child, and the two of them are very close. She's always been very protective of Kai, and even when Jin was born, continued to spend lots of time with him. But staff have been trying to wean him off her gradually.
Orangutans in the wild have the longest period where they're dependent on their mothers, so we've been gradually building up the periods that Kai was separate from mum.
The separation won't be easy for Xiao Kuai either. She's a brilliant mum and is the only orang at the park so far to care for her own children. Kai is only going a short distance, but the team will have to transport him in a carrying crate. Mum Xiao Kuai is oblivious to what's going on.
Okay.
Having been born at the park, Kai has never moved anywhere in a travelling crate before and is reluctant to venture out, despite the treats on offer.
We stand back a bit.
He's in the tunnel, but the team still need to get him into the crate. They've put some familiar items in the box to tempt him in, but orangs are very intelligent. And he's not going to make this easy for them. He does eventually try the crate for size, but cautiously leaves one foot outside to avoid being shut in. And when Jeremy tries to catch him out, he's quick off the mark. It could be a long day. Paddy's group are being kept inside because the Chimp team are preparing a special treat for them. They've put up a log feeder which hopefully will encourage some natural behaviour.
What we're doing for Paddy's Chimp group today is we're actually filling some logs that we've drilled holes in, and we're putting some yoghurt inside it and scattered also a little bit of sunflower seeds because they love yoghurt and sunflower seeds. We're also supplying them with some browse. They have to then find all the branches, and they then will use them as tools to actually dig into the yoghurt log and pull all the yoghurt and the seeds out and lick it all off.
Paddy leads the way, followed by Buster. They're all keen to see what the team have left for them. But it's Kay who's first to try out the feeder. She manages to get a few seeds, but hasn't worked out how to get at the yoghurt. Gamba, however, is very bright and heads straight for the browse. He's realised he's going to need some help getting at the treats. But he's going to have to be quick, as Mickey and Buster are already digging in. They're cleverly using sticks to get in the holes. In the wild, some chimpanzees use twigs and branches in the same way to get at ants and termites. They fish out the creatures from their nests by poking a stick into the mound. The termites defend themselves by biting on the stick, and the chimps lick them off. This is an ideal opportunity for youngest member of the group, Bart, to pick up some essential skills. But he's more interested in playing than learning how to forage, and Cindy has something he wants. 4-year-old Bart is Paddy's son, and being the baby of the group is spoilt rotten. He knows he doesn't really have to make an effort with the log feeder, as he always has food on tap. Chimps feed from their mums on and off up to the age of 5. And Susie is always happy to oblige. At Gordon's orang enclosure, Kai is wary. He's locked in the tunnel, but doesn't want to climb into the crate. The team have tried to bribe him with various treats.
They're Vietnamese coconut ones. Very tasty.
But he hasn't been tempted.
Mr. K.
However, when Kara turns up with his favourite milkshake, his resolve is finally broken.
Let's just move him now.
Kai's not happy about being shut in the box, but it's only going to be for a very short time.
OK, you got the ratchets, well done.
All right, little man.
Right, if we go, keep going that way. Yeah, OK.
Are you okay there?
Shh. Hey, just for a minute. What, you want the door closed? What you do? Don't worry.
He can't wait to get out.
You're not coming this way now. Genesis, honey?
This is unfamiliar territory for him. He's only ever lived with his mum in Gordon's group. The welcoming committee is on hand. Jolie's intrigued by the stranger. But the team have decided she might be a bit much for Kai at first. They're going to ease him in gently. In the wild, orangs do leave their mums around Kai's age, but it happens gradually. In captivity, it has to be an immediate wrench.
There's no way to replicate how Kai would have moved away from his mother in the wild, which is a very gentle process.
Mischievous duo Linga and Dinda are going to be the first to welcome Kai.
We have contact.
But for the time being, it's just going to be through the mesh. Kai seems unfazed.
Do you see this? He's sticking his tongue through.
Linga, as always, is the troublemaker. Kai suddenly notices a familiar face. Xiao Ning has been allowed in with Linga and Dinda. Until recently, she lived with Kai in Gordon's group. But Linga is still being aggressive towards the new boy.
Linga seems very full on with him, but I think it's more of like little kids in the playground. The little girl who actually has quite a shine or a fancy to the new young man is kicking him in the shins and running away right now. But when they see Ning go in with him, I think they'll start realizing that it's actually something that they want to do. So to give Kai a bit of comfort and reassurance, we'll get Xiao Ning straight in with him, and then we can build up to the others, Dinda and Linga and Jolie, Oshina and Sylvester eventually. Good girl, Ning.
The two orangs seem delighted to be back together.
To say that he's never really been away from his mum, he's done very well. Yeah, because they can squeam and squeam and squeam for days and days and days. They have the capability, whereas he's obviously not going to do that.
At the Marmoset house, 5-year-old Max is all alone today because his companion Betty Boo has died. The two monkeys struck up an unlikely friendship, and her death will hit him hard. She was the park's oldest marmoset.
Jeremy found her in her nest basket unresponsive, so really at 15 or more years old, we really needed to help Betty Boo, and Jeremy very quietly and kindly put her to sleep, and she wasn't even aware, didn't even raise her head.
Betty was another victim of the British pet trade. She was rescued by Alison and her late husband Jim Cronin from a house in Southampton in 2003.
Let it go.
Her owner was actually an older lady who was having problems with her mobility and things, but had kept Betty Boo inside of her sitting room in a small cage and would let Betty Boo out onto her shoulder to have snacks, and she'd brush her with a toothbrush.
But, unbeknown to her owner, Betty wasn't in great health because she hadn't been given the correct vitamins.
Please don't get me wrong, her previous owner loved her to bits and really cared for her, but this is the tragedy of the British pet trade so many times that we find the owners are so well-meaning and love their pet monkeys, but really don't understand what their needs are, and that the vitamins they require, supplemental vitamins into their diet, are absolutely essential a couple of times a week or their bones will break. Betty Boo was a prime example of that. Really bad crippling rickets that left her with broken limbs that were fused. And I would have never expected from that little cage in that sitting room in Southampton that we would be able to give Betty Boo the quality of life that we did for so many years.
Betty's easygoing nature made her a favourite, not only among the primate care staff, but also with the park's other marmosets. However, it's her special relationship with Max that she'll be remembered for. He struggled to get on with any of the other marmosets until he met Betty.
Betty Boo and Max were the match made in heaven. He was happy, she was dominant, and all was good for them when they lived together. How I'm gonna pick a new individual to try with Max, I don't know, but we need to try and do something for him, so I'll have to get busy on that now. Betty Boo's been with us for so many years and represented a lot of what Monkey World stands for, that the individuals matter, and that we did everything we could to make Betty Boo's life good and secure and stable here at the park. And up until her last day here, She was catching insects, so really pleased for her. At the same time, very sad that she's passed on now.
Maintenance staff have had to uproot a tree and have decided to give the stump to a good cause. It's going in Lavar's woolly monkey enclosure.
It's got lots of bugs and stuff still in the roots, so yeah, we're going to let them out and just demolish this as much as they possibly can. At the moment they're having to move it. It's a bit too close to the overhang and we don't want any bouncy monkeys being able to climb onto it and then bounce over the fence and out, so they're going to have to just move it a little bit more into the centre of the enclosure so we don't get any escapes.
There's been a lot of upheaval in Lavar's group recently because Paquita gave birth and no one had guessed that she was pregnant.
It's really important that we keep the whole group busy at the moment just because Paquita has just had the baby. He's only a couple of weeks old and all her attention is concentrated on him, so just to keep everyone else busy, to leave her alone with the baby, we've put this in the hopes that they'll find it nice and fun and everyone will have something to do. Isla especially, it's important that we find lots of fun things for her to do. She's not particularly happy that she's got a new little baby brother just because he's taken all of Mum's attention away from her. So really, really important we keep her nice and busy.
An extra helping of the woollies' favourite snacks should entice them over. As the dominant male, Lavar is first on the scene and shows his authority by displaying. Paquita is next with her newborn in tow.
Paquita's baby's doing fantastically well now. He's 2 weeks old. He is definitely a boy and we've named him Manny. He's just at the stage now where he's starting to lift his head off of her and have a look around, and his eyes are nice and wide and open. He's taking notice of everything that's going on around him. He's just really taking in all his surroundings and all his other group mates.
It doesn't take Paquita long to dig out the grubs. She's always had a good appetite, and today there's no stopping her.
Paquita with her food is like trying to take a dummy from a baby. It's not possible a lot of the time. She absolutely loves her food.
Paquita's daughter Isla hasn't plucked up the courage to explore the tree stump yet.
Mum having a new one has been a big shock to Isla. She was pretty much secure in her position as the princess of the group because she was the daughter of the dominant male and the dominant female. So she's had her nose put severely out of joint by the arrival of her baby brother. At the moment, the adults are all still around the tree stump, so Isla and Diego have hung back slightly, just because they're just not sure about going over there and maybe getting told off because they maybe overstep the mark and get into something that the adults actually want. So what they're doing is just hanging around in the trees just above the root, so they're close enough that they can have a good look, see what's going on, but they're far enough away that they're not going to get into trouble. Diego just now is just sort of in the early teens. He's learning what he needs to learn in order to grow up to be a big dominant male himself, so he's trying out lots of dominance displays. Isla's finally there. She's finally foraging around in the root. Looks as if she's big and brave. She might not last there very long, but at the moment she's certainly enjoying it. So yeah, big congratulations to Isla.
At the Orang Nursery, Kai is showing no signs of missing his mum and is having a great time with his old friend Xiao Ning. And Oshin, Sylvester and the others have finally calmed down after the excitement of the new arrival. The Orang team want to distract them, so are planning a treat to keep them all occupied.
We've got some yoghurt pots and bottles. They've got yoghurt and dried fruit in, and I'm just throwing them out onto the roof so that the orangutans can try and get them through and play with them. If we just throw them straight into the playroom, then they've demolished them in about 2 seconds flat, so it makes it a bit more fun for them to play with. The bottles are too big, they won't go through the mesh. But the orangutans are quite used to this game now. They have different techniques for working them through.
Where food is concerned, nothing is ever a problem for O'Sheen.
Some of them like to break the bottles and try and get some of the treats out still on top of the mesh. Sylvester can put his hand right through, but he doesn't have the strength to pull the bottles through completely, whereas others, like O'Sheen, for example, tend to have a lot of strength and pull them straight through the mesh.
Kai and Xiao Ning aren't missing out. They've got their own supply of bottles. Ning has a delicate approach, but Kai uses O'Sheen's technique.
In the wild, orangutans tend to eat in trees. They spend all of their daylight hours up in the trees, so we find it quite important to try and make sure things are put up as high as possible to try and encourage some natural foraging behaviour. Everybody seems to be enjoying themselves. I think it's one of their favourite activities. It keeps them occupied for a long time and they seem to have a lot of fun.
Next time on Monkey Life. Alison and Jeremy are in the West Midlands to rescue 4 marmosets.
Well done, Jeremy. Short and sweet.
Do you want some scrambled egg?
And Hananya's chimps get a treat for tea.